Open your eyes tomorrow morning, and instead of being consumed by stress, fear, or regret, you feel peace. Not the fleeting peace that comes from distraction or denial, but the kind of peace that comes from clarity, from strength, from finally understanding that the problems you thought you had were never truly problems at all. This isn't some fantasy. It's a mindset, a shift in perception, a realization that most of what we suffer from begins and ends in the mind. The traffic jam that ruined your morning. It wasn't the jam, it was your impatience, the rude comment from someone online. It wasn't their words, it was your need for validation, the fear of what tomorrow might bring. It wasn't the future, it was your attachment to control. See, life is not what happens to us. Life is how we interpret what happens to us. Most people never realize this. They live their entire existence reacting, triggered by every word, rattled by every change, enslaved to their emotions. They live in chains, but not chains made of metal, chains made of thought. And here's the tragic part. The key has always been in their hands. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's not just a beautiful quote. That's a manual for life, a blueprint for freedom. You want to be free? Start with your own mind. You don't have to fix the world. You don't have to silence every critic. You don't have to control every outcome. You only have to master one thing, yourself, and yet people spend their entire lives trying to bend reality to their will, when all they ever needed was to bend their perception. You see, we live in a world that teaches us to look outward for everything. Happiness, it's in a relationship. Success, it's in a paycheck. Validation, it's in likes and follows. Purpose, it's in recognition. And so we chase. We run after these illusions like thirsty travelers in a desert, mistaking mirages for water. And when we finally get what we thought we wanted, when we achieve that goal, land that job, buy that thing, we feel a moment of satisfaction before the hunger returns. That's not happiness, that's addiction. The Stoics understood this. They saw that desire, in its uncontrolled form, is a form of slavery. It keeps you reaching for something that will never satisfy. Because the moment you believe that peace exists outside of yourself, you've already lost. Seneca said, "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich." The world we live in today, it's ruled by opinion, by optics, by perception, by the curated highlight reels of people pretending to have it all figured out. And the result? A generation that feels more anxious, more lost, more disconnected than ever before. But a Stoic sees through the illusion. A Stoic understands that the mind is the battlefield, and the war is not against other people, it's against our own impulses, distractions, and illusions. You're not a prisoner of your job, or your past, or your reputation. You are only ever a prisoner of your thoughts about those things. And once you realize that, you can begin the process of liberation. Not by escaping your life, but by transforming your relationship with it. Most people walk through life clinging to control. They plan every detail, stress over every possibility, obsess over what might go wrong, and still, life finds a way to surprise them. A missed opportunity, a betrayal, a sudden loss, a storm that no one saw coming. Why? Because control over the outside world is an illusion. You can't control what other people think. You can't control what happens tomorrow. You can't control the weather, the economy, or the choices others make. But you can control how you respond. That's the Stoic mindset. Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic teachers, said it best. "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." It sounds simple, almost too simple. But most of life's suffering comes from forgetting this one truth. We get angry when someone disrespects us, but we can't control their behavior. We get anxious about the future, but we can't predict what's coming. We get frustrated when life doesn't meet our expectations, but we created those expectations. And so the Stoic learns to divide the world into two categories: what I can control, what I cannot. And then they put all of their energy, all of their focus into the first category. They don't waste time trying to control the weather. They learn to walk in the rain. They don't fear failure. They study it, adapt, and rise again. They don't try to make everyone like them. They work to be someone they themselves can respect. That's not detachment, that's wisdom. Because once you stop trying to control everything, you become unshakable. The storm can rage, but you remain still. Not because you're numb, but because you're grounded. Not in fantasy, not in wishful, in thinking, but in truth, the modern storm. In the ancient world, storms came in the form of wars, plagues, invasions. Today, the storm is different, but no less destructive. It's the never-ending scroll of social media, the pressure to look perfect, the fear of missing out, the toxic comparison, the constant noise. We are more connected than ever before, yet more isolated, more stimulated, yet more numb, surrounded by information, yet starved for wisdom. You check your phone first thing in the morning and suddenly you're behind. Someone's vacation looks better than your entire year. Someone else made more money than you. Someone's relationship seems happier, and without realizing it, you've already told yourself a story. I'm not enough. But that story isn't truth. It's a lie whispered by a distracted mind. The Stoics warned us about this centuries ago. They knew the danger wasn't just in what happens outside, it's in the judgments we attach to those things. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What color are your thoughts? Are they stained by comparison, poisoned by fear, clouded by envy, or are they grounded in reason, anchored in purpose? See, a Stoic doesn't deny emotion. They feel it fully, but they don't become it. They don't get swept away in the tide of every passing feeling. They observe it, they understand it, and then they choose their response. This is emotional discipline, not suppression, not avoidance, but mastery. In a world that wants you reactive, impulsive, outraged, choose calm, choose clarity. Because that's not just stoicism, that's rebellion in a world gone mad. Strength through stillness. We often confuse strength with noise, loud voices, aggressive opinions, power plays, quick tempers. But true strength, the kind the Stoics revered, is quiet, composed, still. It's easy to lash out when someone insults you. It's easy to complain when life gets hard. It's easy to fold when you feel overwhelmed, but the person who remains calm in chaos, who doesn't flinch when criticized, who keeps moving forward in the face of adversity, that's real power. In the modern world, everyone is reacting, everyone is offended, everyone is in a hurry to prove something. But a Stoic understands the one who stays grounded wins, not by dominating others, but by dominating themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have to assemble your life yourself, action by action. This means every moment is a chance to train your character. When someone cuts you off in traffic, breathe. When your plans fall apart, adapt. When you feel the urge to quit, persist." These are not small moments. These are opportunities. Moments that forge discipline. Moments that build resilience. Moments that define who you are becoming. The weight of the past and the fear of the future. Most people are never really here. They're either trapped in yesterday or terrified of tomorrow. They replay conversations that already happened, regret choices they can no longer change, or they fast forward their lives, fearing every worst-case scenario, paralyzed by the unknown. But while they do this, while they live in the shadows of time, the present slips away, unlived, unnoticed, unappreciated. Seneca said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Let that sink in. The past, it's over. a museum of moments you cannot touch. You can learn from it, you can grow from it, but you cannot live in it. The future, it hasn't arrived. It's nothing but a concept, a blank canvas we stain with worry and doubt. But the present, the now, this is where life happens. It's the only place anything ever truly happens. The Stoics knew this. The Stoics, they trained themselves to focus only on what was in front of them. One breath, one decision, one step. Because mastery doesn't come from obsessing about what might be or mourning what was. It comes from fully engaging with what is. You want to change your life. It starts with showing up to this moment, right now, not waiting for the perfect time, not waiting until you feel ready, not when conditions are ideal. Now, because this moment, this ordinary, quiet, unremarkable moment, is the only thing you actually own. The past is memory, the future is fantasy, but this is real. And when you bring your full presence to it, you unlock power, peace, purpose. That's not just philosophy, that's freedom. It's not the big speeches or public victories that create strength. It's the small, private battles no one sees. The times you choose silence over shouting, patience over pride, focus over frustration. The Stoics didn't chase peace, they built it brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. So ask yourself, what kind of foundation are you building today? Is it made of noise or of stillness, of reaction or of reflection, of weakness or of wisdom? Stillness is not inaction, it's control. And in a world spinning with chaos, the one who controls themselves controls everything. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Life will hurt you. That is not a possibility, it is a guarantee. You will lose people you love. You will fail at things you care about. You will face rejection, betrayal, disappointment, grief. This is the price of being alive. But the Stoics made one thing very clear. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. What's the difference? Pain is what happens to you. Suffering is how you interpret it. You break a bone, that's pain. You tell yourself, why me? Life is unfair. I can't handle this, that's suffering. You lose a job, that's pain. You believe, I'm a failure, I'll never recover. That's suffering. And this is where Stoicism becomes not just philosophy, but a weapon, a tool for navigating life. Because when life hits, a Stoic doesn't collapse. They feel the pain, but they don't feed it. They sit with it, but they don't identify with it. They observe the moment, but they don't let it define them. Marcus Aurelius endured wars, plagues, betrayals, yet wrote with serenity and clarity. He once said, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. This doesn't mean ignore pain. It doesn't mean smile through tragedy. It means own your response, reclaim your power. Because the world can take everything from you, your health, your wealth, your comfort, but it can never take your ability to respond with strength, with courage, with wisdom. That is always yours. The average person sees pain as the enemy. The Stoic sees it as the forge, a fire that burns away weakness, a mirror that shows what still needs work. So don't ask for an easy life. Ask for the strength to endure a hard one with grace. Discipline over desire. Desire is a powerful force. It pulls at us, whispers promises, offers pleasure now in exchange for peace later. Desire wants ease. Discipline wants excellence. Desire wants validation. Discipline wants integrity. Desire wants comfort. Discipline wants growth. The Stoics understood this war, and they chose their side. They knew that the easy path often leads to regret, while the hard path, though painful, leads to strength. And that's what Stoicism really is, a commitment to the harder right over the easier wrong. Think about it. It's easier to lose your temper than to stay calm. Easier to give in than to resist, easier to quit than to persist, but easy has never made anyone great. The strongest men and women in history were forged in discomfort. They didn't just tolerate it, they welcomed it. They knew every challenge was a chance to sharpen their mind and strengthen their soul. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery doesn't come through wishing. It comes through work, through daily choices, through sacrifices most people aren't willing to make. So the next time you're tempted by distraction, by indulgence, by that moment of weakness, pause. Ask yourself, what would the highest version of me do right now? And then do that, not because it's easy, but because it's right. Discipline is freedom, not the freedom to do whatever you want, but the freedom to become whoever you're meant to be. And every time you choose discipline over desire, you take one step closer to becoming that person. Identity is a daily choice. Who are you? Not your name, not your job, not your social media profile, but at your core, who are you really? Most people never ask this question. They let the world decide for them. You're the smart one. You're the failure. You're the funny one. You'll never be anything more than this. But the Stoics knew better. They believed identity wasn't fixed, it was forged, not once but daily. Through action, through intention, through the decisions you make when no one's watching. You are not your past. You are not your circumstances. You are not your worst day. You are the choices you make right now. Do you react with anger or respond with calm? Do you blame others or do you take responsibility? Do you stay true to your values or do you fold under pressure? Every action is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet every night he returned to his journal, not to boast, but to reflect, to remind himself of who he wanted to be. "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be," he wrote. "Be one." It's not about perfection. It's about progress, about showing up even when it's hard, about choosing character over comfort, about living as if you were being watched not by the world, but by your higher self. So if you've made mistakes, good, that means you're human, but don't let them define you, let them refine you, and tomorrow, start again. Because identity is not a title, it's a habit. Letting go of what you cannot control, we spend most of our lives clinging, gripping so tightly to things we were never meant to control. People, outcomes, opinions, timing, the weather, traffic, life. We say things like, "They shouldn't have treated me that way. This shouldn't be happening. Why can't things just go my way for once?" But the Stoics taught a radical idea, one that has the power to liberate you completely. You are not in control of the world, you are only in control of yourself. Epictetus said it clearly. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. That's it. That's the whole game. You can't control whether someone likes you. You can't control whether the economy crashes. You can't control whether life is fair, but you can control how you carry yourself. You can control whether you stay true to your principles. You can control whether you let outside chaos destroy your inner peace. That's where your power is, not in bending the world to your will, but in refusing to let the world bend you. Think of the Stoic like a ship captain in a storm. They can't stop the waves, but they can steer the wheel. They can't calm the sea, but they can stay steady, focused, and present. That's what you must do in life. The winds will blow, the tides will rise, but your responsibility is to steer. Let go of everything else. Let go of needing to be understood. Let go of needing to control outcomes. Let go of the false idea that peace will come once everything around you is perfect. It never will. Peace begins when you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start mastering the only thing that ever truly mattered, yourself.